This one mental shift I kind of implemented into my life changed everything for me. It basically took me from where I was to where I am now. Ladies and gents, hello and welcome back to another video. If you don't know me, my name's Callum, I'm 21 years old and I have a business that pulls in just over $100,000 for me every single month. And I built this business using my skill set, my skills, and kind of like turning them into a service, turning them into a business, so on and so forth. And I wanted to make a video that kind of like highlights the biggest factor that's stopping you from getting to where you want to get, because this one mental shift is more of a mental shift, like a mental frame shift that I kind of implemented into my life, let's say 6-7 months ago, changed everything for me. It basically took me from where I was to where I am now, and it's such an important one that it deserves its own video. And so I'm going to kind of explain this mental shift in as much detail as I possibly can so that you can use it yourself to hopefully help you bridge the gap between, again, where you are and exactly where you want to be. So I'm just going to kind of break it down in as like, make it as simple as I possibly can. So let's say, for example, that this is you now. This is where you currently are in your life. And, you know, typically you're watching this video if you want to grow into different areas of your life, different aspects, evolve, make more money, whatever that may be. So I'm going to assume that you're here because you want to improve, make more money. So this is where you are at the moment. And let's say, for example, I'll give you a blue guy. This is where you want to be. Okay. Now, the biggest thing, the biggest gap that's stopping you from going from here to up here, I mean, there's a bunch of things that stops you from actually going from where you are to where you want to be, but one of the biggest things that I would say is like obviously the most important, and it comes across quite cliche because you've probably heard it 1,000 times, is like the very, very simple case of knowledge. Okay, and what I mean by that is that the difference between you and future you, more successful you, is literally a case of knowing, or like not knowing what you don't know, right? And what you don't know is typically the missing piece that is going to take you to that next level, or is able to take you to that next level. And this is such like a simple thing to kind of like understand and grasp, but obviously it's a much harder thing to actually put in practice. But the difference between where you are and where you want to be is something that you have no idea. You don't know what you don't know. The good thing is, however, you can actually find out what you don't know, and you can start to fill in those knowledge gaps to actually take you to that next level, right? It's just a case of actually identifying where you want to be in life, having like at least a very, very basic general idea of what you want your future life to look like, and then starting to actually fill in those knowledge gaps. So starting to almost unlock and open those doors, which like the keys to unlocking and opening those doors is this thing right here, right? It's knowledge. It's simply not knowing what you don't know that will get you to that next level. And those are the exact missing pieces. Those are the minor things that are going to get you to that next level. So the question I probably know, or that you're probably asking, is how the hell do I know what that is? And well, the difficult thing is that you don't exactly know what that is, but you can start to actually execute on trying to find out exactly what that is. And I think the first thing to realize is that a lot of the beginner stuff anyway, is free. You can get it out there for free. You can find it on YouTube, you can find it on free courses, you can find it on Google. Like, let's say, for example, that you're here, you want to start a business that makes you a lot of money to go to here. And let's say, for example, that going with the very, very basics, it's a marketing agency, right? You want to work with companies to run Facebook ads for them and make them a lot of money. Now, this is such a basic cliche thing that I probably wouldn't do because it's well overdone and you probably don't have the skills that actually requires to run a marketing agency. But thoughts aside, let's say, for example, this is a version of you of a very successful, fully functioning, flowing marketing agency. This is you now. And the gap between where you are and where you want to be is knowledge of actually how to get there. It's quite obvious, right? Because if you knew how to get there, you would be there, like, clearly, right? So how do we actually acquire that knowledge to actually help us to get there? Like I said, a lot of it's for free. But the thing that you need to realize, and the thing that really made the jump for me from where I was to where I am now, is the understanding that a lot of this knowledge here, a lot of the good stuff anyway, is behind a paywall. Like, a lot of the good knowledge is behind a paywall. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one reason is because knowledge is only as valuable as you perceive it, which means that I could give you a 10-hour long course on YouTube here for free, and you could watch it and you could, you know, perceive it however you want. But if I put a $5,000 price tag on that knowledge, you perceive it in a completely different way, which means that knowledge isn't inherently valuable. Knowledge is only as valuable as the price tag that's put on that knowledge. And the reason it's actually a beneficial thing to pay for knowledge or pay for information or whatever it is because you only take action on knowledge that you actually pay for. I can make this exact same video but put it behind a paywall, put it behind a course, and it would be perceived as much more valuable because you had to pay money for it, and you take it much more seriously because you have to pay money for it. Something to realize just within the human psyche as a whole is that money is such an important thing. It's not just a currency, but it's also an indicator of where your focus lies. You know, we chase money throughout our whole lives. Like, that is just like kind of fundamentally human nature. Now, the benefit that we can actually take from that is that whatever we put money towards, so will our focus. Like, we put focus towards that. So if you invest in a program, in a course, in knowledge, whatever it is, you also invest your time, you invest your energy, you invest your focus, your attention. And because of that, you typically then get a result much faster as per to if you don't invest any money in the first place. The thing you need to realize, and the thing that I realize, is that although money is obviously a currency and it's a very, very important one, money is also like an analogy for our human focus. Wherever we put money towards, our focus goes towards as well, which means it's a massive benefit to invest in knowledge, because you invest everything, all of yourself, into that, learning that thing as well and trying to acquire it to get to the next level. And the thing to realize is that good knowledge, very valuable knowledge, is behind a paywall. And if you're not willing to accept that, you're not willing to kind of face that fact of like, Jesus, I might actually have to pay for something to learn, don't even try in the first place. Right, and like I said, you can get a lot of information off YouTube, you can get it off free places 100%, but you will only perceive something valuable based on how valuable someone else has said it is. That's why, like, the scams are a thing, because obviously, you know, information is free out there, and the majority of it is, but you pay for information plus application, which is where people actually charge a high premium for. So if we need to acquire this to get from here to here, we understand that this actually, fundamentally, does cost money. Actually, you don't have to spend money. You can spend a matter of two things. To get from here to here, you can either spend money or you can also spend time, right? That's a clock, a very, very awful clock, but that's a clock. When you're getting started, you can either spend money or time to get from here to here. It either costs you money to acquire the skills, to learn, and to obviously pay for knowledge, or you spend your time, which is basically going through the process of doing it manually. You don't buy any courses, you don't buy any programs where all the information is in one condensed place, but you spend your hard-earned time actually learning it yourself, going through the kind of trials and tribulations and the ups and downs and the depths of YouTube and all these different places to actually acquire the knowledge. And that's absolutely fine. You 1000% can do that. But the thing you need to realize is that this is unlimited. This is very limited. No matter how much you spend of this to acquire this, you can make it back. This, however, like, no matter how much of this you spend to acquire this, you don't get this back. Once this is spent and you start to like tick this off here, that goes. That doesn't come back. This is infinite, this is not. And that's the thing you need to understand, the thing you need to realise. And I get being young, you can do that. You can afford to spend a lot of this to actually acquire this, to get from here to here. But you've got to ask yourself the question, you know, at what point do I actually value time over money? Because I'm 21 and I'm like, you know, reasonably successful people in my age bracket. What I did was spend a lot of this to get from here to here. I spent this as well, don't get me wrong, like I've countless nights, sleepless nights, months and months and months on end, years on end learning, but because I also spent this as well as this, I was able to speed run this process from here to here. And that's something to realise as well, that you have two currencies in life. You have time, you have money. You can either spend time to get from where you are to where you want to be, that's absolutely fine, but you can expect to get from here to here by the age of 30 maybe. Or if you spend money and time, more money, or on the money side, you can get from here to here much quicker. And that should be your ultimate goal, because you need to value time more than anything else, any other currency in the world. That's something you need to like massively understand. I was in this exact position, right? The first course that I ever bought when I was 16 was a total of $397. That was the first course I bought. It was like a social media management, marketing kind of growth course, and that was what I bought because I wanted to acquire knowledge. I was a 16-year-old, had no idea what he wanted to do with his life, that saw that social media management and growth could be a valuable skill that I could learn and charge for. And so I thought, okay, if I want to get from here, having no idea what to do, to having a social media management growth agency, whatever it is, I need to spend this to acquire the knowledge to get from here to here. Just recently, not too long ago, about a month ago now, I then went ahead and spent this on a new course. And the thing you have to understand is that the bigger the rewards that you want to get, the bigger the problems there are in the way to get to that reward. If you want to unlock a really valuable door because there's something amazing behind it, you need to basically spend a lot of money to acquire the knowledge to unlock that door to get from here to here. You know, and it's the kind of case that the more you know, the more you realise that you don't know, right? Because the more you understand, the more you realise, Jesus, I don't understand anything because there's so much more to learn. And that's the kind of caveat, the catch-22, that no matter how much you learn, no matter how much information you absorb, you're always going to realise that the more you go up, it's almost more depressing because it's like, Jesus, I know nothing. Thinking now, sat where you are, you think, oh, there's not actually too much to learn. I just have to learn maybe how to build the services, sell them, get cash flow, happy days, right? To get from here to here, having a successful agency. But the more you learn, the more courses you buy, the more you realise how many individual moving pieces there are that you need to actually acquire to get from here to here, which means this is marginal. Like information, it isn't just like, right, you pay and you get everything. It means that the bigger the rewards that you want, the more you have to spend to acquire the information, to unlock that door, to go through and get the valuable reward. What I'm trying to say is that doing this early on is such an incredibly valuable thing, because it opens up your mind and it opens up the potential to doing this later on. And bear in mind, I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't do this in the first place. I wouldn't be able to spend this money if I didn't acquire the knowledge to actually unlock this in the first place. My first thing that I probably ever bought was much cheaper. In fact, I remember when I was 16, even before I bought this, I bought a $7 one. That was the first program I ever bought. It was called Legendary Marketer. It was like an affiliate marketing program that taught you how to build a very, very basic like sales funnel and stuff like that. That was the first thing I ever bought. And that probably taught me the skills that I needed to get to this point here where I could buy this, which taught me the skills I needed. I mean, I bought multiple courses in between this, don't get me wrong, multiple programs to get from here to here, but I'm saying that was my first one, that was my most recent one. Because information, the more you spend, the more you realise you don't know, the more you realise you have to spend. But it gets to a point where maybe the next thing I'm going to spend is, I don't know, 50,000 on a mastermind, with the goal to help me get to $1 million a month. I don't know what it is, but I'm open and willing to do it because I started off here. I started doing this, went to this, to this, to this, to this, and maybe this in the future. But because I will spend this money or around that money, I'm going to acquire so much valuable information that maybe the next thing I buy is $1 million. And I'm happy with that, because everything that I'm buying is producing a return because I'm applying it. And I'm not saying be naive and buy any course and program out there because everything's going to make you money. It's not, don't get me wrong. Like, you have to do your due diligence, you have to be smart, you have to be kind of technical with it and tactical. But what I'm saying is that valuable information, the knowledge that you need to acquire to get from here to here, wherever that is in life, is behind a paywall. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you understand that, and the sooner you stop thinking that everything around you is a scam and everything's trying to take your money, the sooner you'll get from here to here. And again, like, I'm not saying you have to go and spend this out the gate, because you're probably thinking, I'm young, I don't have money to spend. That's fine. Start here. Move to here, move to here, move to here. Because the more you spend, the more you realise, I'm happy to spend more money because I want to acquire more knowledge, because I want to get to the next level, okay? That is a big thing to understand. You don't know what you don't know, and what you don't know is the gap here. So the only way that you can solve that problem is by acquiring as much knowledge as you possibly can, exchanging the money that you know you'll make back because it's infinite to basically acquire more money. And the same thing goes for anything in life. Obviously, we're talking much more entrepreneurial focus and business focus because that's what this channel is about, but that's what you need to understand, right? And I have programs that I sell, and I'm not making this so that you think, oh yeah, I'll buy his program now. I'm not even going to link it in the description below. You have to go and find it if you want to. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to try and educate my younger self that was resistant to buying anything because he thought everything was a scam. But when I first spent my little bit of money, and then more, and then more, and then more, the more I spend, the more I realise, Jesus, there's a lot out there to buy, there's a lot out there to acquire. So please, for your future's sake, be willing to spend money on the right things, on the right programs, on the right masterminds, whatever it is. I'm not saying buy anything, but I'm saying be open and willing, because valuable knowledge is behind a paywall for a reason, and because you pay for it, you apply it more. And when you apply it more, you get a result, and then you'll probably buy more things, more knowledge, more value. That's the cycle you have to put yourself into early on as possible. So take on that mental shift. Be willing to spend money to acquire knowledge, because valuable knowledge does cost money. Or spend your time if you want, but then obviously you'll be 60 years old and you'll finally reach this point, which obviously isn't really much of a life to live. Cool, I hope you enjoyed, hope that made sense. Let me know if that kind of got any questions in the comments below, and I'll get back to you there. But I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.